I'm delighted to be joined today by the LA City Clerk Holly Wolcott. So nice to have you here.
So nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
What prompted your interest in this particular office in the first place?
It's just fascinating to be on the edge of where everything happens. I mean, we're not necessarily the catalyst or a part of what is happening, but we're watching it and recording it all. So it's fascinating to be on the sidelines, I guess, and having a front row seat to what's happening in city government.
As part of your tenure, have you been witness to something and been part of something that you realized this is historic? This is something that people are going to celebrate in years to come.
I find that swearing in Mayor Bass was fascinating. I mean, just to swear in the first woman into office of the mayor, that was a huge honor. So every time I get to swear in any official, I feel grateful, especially when there's more women that join, because for so long, the underrepresentation.
Yeah. What exactly does your office do when it comes to city elections?
We're a non-political, non-partisan office, so we're just trying to get information out that's factual. We're not trying to sway you to vote one way or another. We're just trying to make sure you know you have the opportunity to vote. Federal elections can be sort of sexy and everybody understands, so the President of the United States, but really it's locally. It's your local council and mayor that decide where resources go, what streets get paved, where there's stoplights. A lot of those things get handled on a very local level, and that's why it's really important to make sure your interests are represented. Obviously,
the politics of the city change all the time, and your office works under the new mayor, everything like that. So has there been differences in priorities according to a new mayor, and does the office change slightly based on who is actually mayor of the city at the time, or is this a stable, steady, no matter who's there, no matter, what's going on in the city office?
It's a combination of both. Part of the transition will be bringing on new personnel and transitioning out old personnel. That part is pretty stable, and we're used to that, whether it's a new council member or new mayor. All of the admin rules, making all the payments on contracts or other purchases, that remains stable. But for example, Mayor Bass's top priority has been housing the homelessness. So making those payments is a responsibility of our office, and that has been a huge change because of the workload has been so high. But the actual process doesn't change, if that makes sense.
A critical part of Los Angeles, because we're so huge and so diverse, are these neighborhood councils. And these neighborhood councils have become a real important part of disseminating information and understanding what different neighborhoods need. How does your office help with these community council elections, et cetera?
Well, we do two things for the neighborhood councils. We do run their funding program every year. And also, as you said, every 2 years, on odd number of years, so the last time was 2023, we run the neighborhood council elections. So there's 99 neighborhood councils. Now, they may not all have elections on a given year. It'll depend on if they have enough people to run, but we'll handle their candidate filing, and we'll do all of the polling locations. In 2023, all neighborhood councils were allowed to also vote by mail, as well as in-person or drop-off boxes. So we made sure that there were various different ways that people could vote if they were interested in these different, and we ran them by regions. We would do, 7 at a time, 7 to 12 at a time in different areas of the city.
99 neighborhood councils.
There's 99, but again, I don't know that I couldn't tell you the number off the top of my head of the number that we actually ran this past year, but it was in the neighborhood of, I think, 70, 80.
What do they do, and how do they help the city of LA understand the city of LA?
Well, the idea of the neighborhood councils was that each area of the city might have different needs. So, what the West Valley versus, San Pedro might need is something completely different. So it was to come from them, how they wanted to form, what their structure was. They are given $32,000 a year. They can do neighborhood purpose grants. They can, identify needs in their own communities and communicate that back to the mayor and city council of the city, or fund different projects on their own.
Within your office, what is the makeup? How many people work with you, for you, and speak to you?
The office of the city clerk, I believe, has about 115 authorities right now, scattered throughout City Hall, or then we also have offices out at the Piper Tech Center. Our elections and records management's out there, but the rest of the staff's at City Hall. So there's 115 of us.
And they're
that do all the
everything
heavy
you
lifting.
just listed. Yeah. What are you doing to sort of? I know part of the election campaign was to invigorate, more young people to get involved in elections or be cognizant and aware. But what is it like in your office to sort of re-engage the youth in just city government, et cetera? How is that working with the city clerk's office?
Well, our outreach and engagement in elections will work with the youth department and do various activities together in order to make sure that the youth, those that are 16 and older, can pre-register to vote, and so that they're ready to vote when they turn 18. They don't have to, go and do something. They'll automatically just start getting their ballots when they turn 18. So the idea is, what's at stake with a ballot? I mean, what are you voting on? Why is it important to you?
Would you like to register? It takes 90 seconds. Hi, has anybody registered to vote?
And so we try to make sure that the youth understand that. We've gone to various schools and made presentations on how to vote.
We're wrapping up this fiscal, but you've had some pretty remarkable achievements and goals over the last 4 years that you had strategically planned and into this year. What are some of those priorities that you put into action, and how are they working out?
Well, what we're always trying to do is make sure that transparency is at the forefront. So digitizing what we do to make sure it's on the internet and that it's able to reach the people via the way they look for information. So our systems division has had a huge impact in making that information available, as we talked earlier, our records management, digitizing records. So I'd say that's one of our big wins. We've also changed over our system in council, which doesn't mean anything to anybody outside. Hopefully they still have the same experience, but now the information's easier to keep track of and get out in a more timely manner. But that's what we're always working on, is trying to make sure our office is efficient, so that really we're behind the scenes and you don't know what we do. Because if you do know what we do, then sometimes we're doing something wrong.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And what do you want people to ask the city clerk's office? I mean, what are some of the things that would be helpful to you if a citizen, any of your constituents, had something that they wanted to suggest or offer? I mean, what helps you and what do you not want to hear about?
I want to know if they're having difficulty obtaining the information that they're trying to find. So we have a way for them to subscribe to different agendas or different items. You can either, if you want to subscribe to the public safety agenda, you can do that. Or if you want to subscribe to council agendas, you can do that.
So if someone wanted to access all this wonderful information that you have captured?
We are on all social media platforms. But if you go to our website at clerk.lacity.gov, it'll provide all the information on where you can find us.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Holly. This is fascinating.
It's been a pleasure. I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Holly. And that's a wrap on this fascinating LA Currents.